Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side Podcast. As always, he's Yinka Yusuf, and I am Akin Adike. Yinka Yusuf, what's going on?
Yes, boss. I'm good. You?
Yeah? I'm all right. We're looking kind of different today. What's going on?
Yes, we are.
Why are we different? Why are we looking different?
Yeah, we're playing away matches this week.
Both of us are playing away matches at the same time.
Both
It's
of us
crazy.
are playing away matches this week. I'm out of Lagos. Akin's out of Washington. He's in you're in Calgary, right?
I'm in Calgary. Yeah, I'm in Calgary.
He's in
I'm
Calgary.
working remote this week while the family is on vacation. I'm not on vacation. I'm working. You are in Kigali for work, so we're both working.
Kigali for work. Yeah, so we're both
working. I've never been to Kigali before though, so nice place.
Nice place.
Okay.
It's quiet. It's peaceful. It's neat. There's no air pollution, no noise pollution. People are calm. It's hilly. In fact, it's everything that Lagos is not. You know.
I was gonna say compare it to Lagos for us.
complete opposite of Lagos, man. Complete opposite. You know, wow. I mean, you enter and you just sense that calmness. You know, so it's a nice town. It's not a big country.
Okay.
You know, but it's a nice place. I like the topography. Kind of, it's hilly. There are hills, there are valleys, and the buildings are kind of, you know, constructed into hills, you know. So at night, if you look out, if you're on a hilly place, you just see lights, you see the valleys, you see, gives it like kind of beautiful, you know. Unlike Lagos, that you can't see any other person like that unless you're other than your neighbor in front of you.
And Lagos is special in other ways, right? So
Lagos is special. Lagos is special.
In other ways.
I'm sure people that live here, when they come to Lagos, they'll be wondering, what are you guys doing in this town? You know.
Yeah.
But it's a nice place. It's a very nice place. I like
it. Nice. So hopefully next week we'll both be back to, you know, our usual stations and
regular
typical backgrounds, and hopefully your internet holds up. We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Cool.
So, do we have any housekeeping? Last week was our 20th episode. So this is episode 21. We're recording a day late. Today is the 24th of June, a Monday. We usually record on Sundays, but, you know, we had travels. So you'll probably watch this on Tuesday, a day later.
Yeah.
So
a day later.
But let us have some fun anyway. And next week we will record a day late as well because of travel. So we'll record on Monday next week as well. And then we have one other announcement, Yinka. So we would love to hear from our listeners. So we'll have a Q&A segment, questions, answers next week. So send your questions ahead of time so Yinka doesn't have to make them up. Because if you don't, we will. So send your questions ahead of time. We'll put something out on our social media, including on YouTube, for how to get the questions to us. And then we look forward to reading them and especially answering them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to that.
All right, Yinka, let's get started. Agenda for today. So let us review the ongoing Euro 2024. So Euro is happening in Germany. The Copa America is happening in the US. The Copa is about a week behind the Euro. So let's talk about. So the Euro is, you know, they're finishing up the group stages right now. There's been 2 days of final group stage matches yesterday and today with some very, very, very interesting conclusions. So let's start with Yinka. Has anyone surprised you in this tournament? Your surprise of the tournament so far?
Yes, I have a couple.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go teams and not players. So the Swiss team is one, and two will be the Romanian team. I talked briefly about Romania last week. Yeah. So I'm going to focus on Switzerland this time around. The Swiss team, their best player is probably Manuel Akanji. Yeah. or Granit Xhaka. You
That's
can
fair.
pick between the two of them.
Xhaka. Yeah, that's fair.
Or Xhaka, yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're just regular Joes. No disrespect to them. They're regular Joes on almost every other position, right?
Good goalkeeper.
But
they have a
good goalkeeper in Summer. Yeah. Summer is a good goalkeeper. In fact, all the players are good players. They're not just great players. They're not world beaters. You get what I mean?
No.
But the way they've been able to play within their strengths and hide or conceal their weaknesses has been fantastic. Yeah. They gave Germany a run for their money yesterday. Germany in my opinion, I think Germany was lucky, right, to end that game with a 1-1 draw. And before then, Swiss, they won their first game. They won their first game, I think it was 3-1 or so. And Brice Embolo came in and scored the third goal. Just in general, they just have relatively unknown players that are coming on board and doing super things. Vargas, Embolo, there's another black young man there, Ndiaye or so.
Ndoye,
right? Ndoye. Yeah. And in midfield, even though Dennis Zakaria is not playing, Granit Xhaka and this other guy that scored in their first match, I've forgotten his name. They've been very, 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 very solid. So Swiss, they've surprised me. Romania also surprised me, although they lost their second game, I think. Yeah, but they won their first. And the way they won their first and the nature of the players they have, even the game they lost yesterday or day before yesterday, you could see that these guys, they were willing to play for each other. And they have a good team. Once again, this is a situation where hard work is challenging talent significantly.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the talent on play, they're not ready to work hard. So Romania, no world beater, but once again, they're bringing that team effort and they're doing pretty well. So Romania and Swiss, they've surprised me positively. Now they surprised negatively. Maybe I will talk about that in disappointment of the tournament. So let me leave that for now.
Okay.
So those are the two for me. So Akin, yours?
Okay. So for me, I will go one team, one player. So the player will be N'Golo Kante.
I see.
So I always thought this guy was a great player, one of the best to ever do it. But I think even I, a fan of his, I think I've underestimated him. I did not know when I saw him, limping around. I thought his career was over. He had 2 years of injuries, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
He had 2 years of injuries. Moved to Saudi. Doesn't say much. He's played, as of this recording, he's played 2 matches at the Euros. He's one player of the match. They don't call them man of the match anymore. Don't get me started. He's one player. He's one player of the match.
They're not men, obviously.
Wow, it's crazy. I'm like, man of the match for the women's game. Call it whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just
exactly.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's go off tangent.
Anyway, so I know. There'll be time to go off tangent later. I have a lot to say about the WNBA, but let's keep going. And I see this guy. He's won 2 of them. 2 player of the tournament. I'm like, and deservedly. And when I think about this guy, I'm going to read something that I saw online from our favorite, Cesc Fabregas, right? It's kind of long, but let me go through it. This is Cesc. Eden Hazard and I gave N'Golo Kante a Brazilian nickname, N'Golinho, when we were together at Chelsea. Obviously, that was a bit of a laugh, but it showed how much we valued N'Golo and how much we appreciate certain aspects of his game that others may not see. N'Golinho is one of the best players ever at his position. He's seen as a defensive midfielder that makes all these tackles and picks up a lot of balls, and that's great. But sometimes you forget that he never loses. I think it means he never loses the ball. He can run with the ball, break lines, and dribble. And like him, we don't appreciate it at all. It's one of the most complete environments in the world for sure. Playing alongside N'Golo gives you a lot of security, assurance. The way he retrieves, holds the ball, and intercepts. maybe I can understand that without having played with him or knowing him. It's hard for people to appreciate how important and good he is. And I think more and more people realize that having Ngolo on your team greatly increases your chances of winning games and competitions. If you ask the best players in the world if they'd like to have Ngolo on their team, they'll all answer yes without hesitation. Sadly, football is now based on your reputation. Ngolo is known for running a lot and retrieving the ball, but he does a lot of other things no one talks about. He's one of the best players I've played with. And I'm like, Cesc feels the same way. You know, I totally
can't even
agree.
say better than that.
You can't even say better. But anyway, so he would be. I'm so happy that he's back. I'm happy that Deschamps, who doesn't always make the best decisions, the coach for France, made this decision to bring him back and to put him straight into the starting lineup without hesitation. I love Rabiot. I think Rabiot is a good, decent midfielder. I think Chouameni is a good, decent midfielder, but neither of them. You know how much I love Camavinga. I've loved Camavinga since he was 16 or 17. None of them is N'Golo Kante. So anyway, I'm glad to see him. So that's my player surprise of the tournament. My team surprise of the tournament is Germany. And this is in spite of, hey, they could have beaten the Swiss last night, but it didn't. I get that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just in a way, the Swiss remind me of Bayer Leverkusen, and the Germans remind me of Bayern Munich this past season. You know, I don't know if it makes sense, because when I look at them, I'm like, they're on a redemption mission, right? Because, you know, no one was talking about them before the tournament. When I looked at them before the tournament, I told you, like, France has the most talent. You can never count Portugal out because they have a lot of talent and they have Ronaldo. You know, Spain would do what they always do. But I was really looking at Germany. I'm like, Germany playing at home, they could do something. And I just love the fact that their coach, sometimes it pays to be stubborn. Not all the time, but sometimes it pays to be stubborn. They had already qualified after 2 matches, and he played the same 11 in the third match. You know, it kind of backfired a little because Jonathan Tah, who partners Rudiger, you know, in central defense, picked up a yellow card. Now he's gonna miss the next game, right? And I think it's been better than Rudiger. I think it's been their best defender this tournament. So I'm like, maybe you could have rested a bunch of players. You know, but I love the fact that they showed respect to the Swiss and they played their top 11. And I just feel like I feel like their coach feels like he owes the people of Germany a great performance, you know, and he keeps trying until they get there. You know what I mean? So anyway, so that's been my team surprise. Okay. All right. Yinka, do you have a game of the tournament?
I mean, it has to be the Turkey Georgia game. There is no.
That was nuts.
That game was something else, right? I mean, give it to Georgia. The way they play, I could have added them as my surprise of the tournament. But I kind of know between Kvaratskhelia and is it McTaudzio was the guy's name, their striker? Those two boys, they don't respect anybody. They will dribble you. They will attack you. I love the way they play. They're free. They're like, nobody expected us to be here. While we're here, let's just have fun, get the best out of this tournament, and they're just going for it. Right? They played Spain today also. It was a close game. Okay, maybe it's Spain's second team, but does Spain really have a second team? Yeah. But did they really have a second team? That could have been the first team also. You get my point? Yeah, that's true. Georgia, that's true. Oh, God. Georgia, Turkey, fantastic game. Game of the tournament by far, so far.
I have to agree with you. It was nuts. I'm just going to leave it at that. It was insane. Adagula, that's how you say his name? The kid from Real Madrid.
From Real.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, that goal, the audacity to even try. In your first major tournament. I mean, this kid is like, what, 5'7"? You know?
And he's 18 tiny. Also, 17 or 18 years old.
You know, no, it was unbelievable. No. So yeah, that would be my game of the tournament so far as well.
That's the game of the tournament so far. Yeah.
Still early days, Inca, but player of the tournament.
So this is where we swapped, kind of. You added N'Golo Kante as your surprise of the tournament.
My surprise.
Yeah. So for me, it's the best player so far in that tournament is N'Golo Kante. Because if not for him, France will be out of the tournament right now. I'm not joking. They've been poor offensively. He has been the one that is like holding everybody together. That is like, and I'm like, this guy wasn't even expected to be in this tournament. Do you understand? If they had told you 2 weeks ago that N'Golo Kante will be the best player on this French national team in Euro 2024, won't you slap whoever told you that? You will.
I would not have believed it, for sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed the person. I'd be like, what are you talking about? But he's been exceptional. And well, I was thinking of this as a joke. I think the second player, it will be the highest goal scorer of the tournament, which is a young man called Ongo. You know?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, there's been 6 or 7 own goals now, right? It's crazy.
I don't know what's going on here. I don't know.
There was 11 the last tournament too. The last Euros, there was 11 own goals. Like
but the goals are not flowing as we expected. The highest goal scorer is the dude from was it Austria? I think. There's a guy from Austria that scored 2 goals. Was it Austria? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Belgium, Slovakia. There's a Slovakian player that has 2 goals. Frank, I can't remember his name. So the goals are not flowing in this tournament as you will expect. I think the defense all the defenders have been tidy. The midfield, everybody's choking the midfield. The games are nice, but the goals are not. It's not like the AFCON that we watched where people were just scoring left, right, and center. It was free-flowing football and all. It's been quite cagey. So back to the question, player of the tournament so far for me, it will be N'Golo Kante. It will be N'Golo Kante.
Okay.
How about you?
So I hate to do this, but I have to agree with you again. Like it has to be. And I think I would actually go a step further. I think those 2 games, maybe I'm judging him on a curve because of all the injuries and the absence.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the 2 best back-to-back games I've seen anyone play. Maybe this year, maybe in any tournament on any team.
I agree.
I'm just so impressed. So I mean, there's some honorable mentions for me. I thought Jude Bellingham in the first game was amazing. And then in the second game, I don't know what happened. So it couldn't be him. There's been a few really good goalkeeper performances. Oblak has been phenomenal, right? He's made some stops. Speaking of players coming back from injury, Neuer for Germany. I mean, there was one mistake, but that's Neuer. There's always gonna be one mistake somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But some of the saves, even last night against the Swiss, against Xhaka, you saw the save against Xhaka.
That bender, that top corner bender, and he got
that
to it.
was crazy. He got to it. I don't know how he did it. He's intimidating. He's crazy athletic. Always confident. He must have the shortest memory of any human that ever lived, because he will make a mistake and then just go pull a save out of nowhere. I just have so much respect for him. Who else can I think about? I mean,
I have a couple that I can add to to the list of worthy mentions, if you can put it that way. Jamal Musiala.
Oh, yes. Jamal
Musiala.
How did I leave him out? Yeah, I have a lot to say about him. Go on. Yeah.
Jamal Musiala, fantastic so far. Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal of Spain.
Yeah.
Those 2 boys, I was worried for Spain before this tournament. I'm like, y'all don't have creativity in your team. Because in the qualifiers, at the earlier part of the qualifiers, they were playing Oyarzabal on the left and Ferran Torres on the right. For me, that was very bland. No dynamism, no pace.
They're really forwards masquerading as wingers. Not every forward is a winger. Not every left or right-sided forward is a winger. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely. But when these two boys, because the first game they played for Spain was at the latter part of the qualifiers, Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal. So I think we should acknowledge the Spanish coach for having, for saying, I'm going to be brave enough. I'm going to play these two young boys because they deserve to start. Those two boys are the reason why Spain is where they are in this tournament. Yeah. They on their good day, they are unplayable. I think DiMarco, the Spanish, the Italian defender for Inter Milan, I think he's a pretty decent defender.
Absolutely.
You would agree with me, right?
Very tough.
Lamine Yamal,
tough. Absolutely.
Lamine Yamal turned him inside out. Like, if when you do Salah, he killed every move. Gosh. He was killing the guy constantly. And I'm like, wow, this boy is 16, 17. How old
16. Is he? He doesn't turn 17 until I think next month or whatever it is. Yeah. It's July. Turn 17.
I know we have early bloomers and some people peak and they just fade away. I know we have that. But if this guy continues at this, was Messi this good at 16?
We didn't see him, so we don't know.
Precisely my point. He was still playing in the Barca B team, right? At 16.
Yeah.
Dude, if this boy keeps it up, right? we have something else on our hands. But the thing is, we almost said the same thing about Ansu Fati. See what happened to him.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a bit, But right now, I think he's one of the best 16-year-olds I've seen in a very, very, very long time.
I agree.
Yeah. So those are the other two players I wanted to add to the list.
Okay. So quick follow-up on what you just said. So I'll stay in the same Spanish team as a cautionary tale, right? And I don't think I wanted to talk about it last week, but I think I forgot. Pedri on the Spanish national team. I think Pedri is now 20, I think. Pedri, 4 years ago when he played the Olympics, I don't know if you remember this story. He played in the Euros and then they took him to the Olympics. There was a 12-month period between 2020 and 2020, 21 and 22, because I think the last Euros was in 21 instead of 20, right? So across 2021 and 2022, this young man who was 18 played 73 games for club and country. 73 for club and country. And then you wonder why he was so injured for 2 years after that, right? So he went something like 73 and then like 30 something and then like 20 something, So that would be my cautionary tale as, Yamal goes back to Barcelona. Please protect this kid. Please protect him. Like, don't run him down like you all did to Pedri. Do not take him to the Olympics. I know it's hard, but don't take him to the Olympics. And if you do, then don't play him at Barcelona. You can't do both. Like, it's not developed.
They'll do both. I am telling you now. They'll most likely
you saw what happened to Pedri. Don't do it. Don't do it. 73. You know who plays 73 matches a year? It's Ronaldo and Messi. No one else does.
Yeah.
Ibrahimovic back in the day. This is not something people do. You don't play. The human body wasn't set up to do this. So okay. So that was one reaction. The other one is, how could I forget Musiala? For me, I think it would be a close second to Kante. And only because he didn't have the best game against the Swiss. He didn't have the best game. But his first 2 games, unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. And I feel... and the funny thing is, as I'm watching Germany, right, there are 2 things that give me hope for our new best friend, Vincent Kompany. I'm like, Joshua Kimmich, Jamal Musiala. Now, Kimmich is going, and we have to talk about Kimmich. Kimmich is going into the final year of his contract. And... there's rumors that he gave them a list of 4 teams that he would take a transfer to, and they're Man City and Arsenal in England, and then Barcelona and Real Madrid in Spain. He doesn't want to sign a new contract, blah, blah, blah. I hope he stays. I hope he does. I hope he signs a new contract because the football brain on that man is unbelievable. And when I juxtapose his situation, right, where he's a world-class 6, being told to play right back for club and country, versus, you know where I'm going with this, versus a struggling right back in England, Trent Alexander-Arnold, that the English are convinced is all of a sudden a world-class midfielder. I'm like, are you silly or are you dumb? Or is it both? You know how we always talk about in the modern game, you can't carry a passenger? And then the English are like, watch me. Watch me just... I'm like, so I'm like, that's how you play multiple positions. You're world-class in one. Your coach says, go do another one anyway. And you do it with the same distinction.
He's almost world-class in both. He's almost world-class in both.
That's crazy.
Because in Bayern, it's either you can play right back. He's so versatile and he plays both positions at the top level. I don't know why Bayern don't want to. Well, maybe he's his choice not to re-up, not to sign a new contract.
He makes 20 million euros. 20 million euros a year. So is not on small wages. It's on, pretty big wages. I don't know how old he is. Is he like late 20s?
He's
probably 27, 28.
I can check. Is 20 is I think you're right. Is that 27, 28? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's do you want to give a 28-year-old a 4-year contract at more than what he's making right now, right? He's at 20 million euros a year right now.
You give that 28-year-old that contract.
Yeah.
Not any 28-year-old. That particular one, you give him that money. You give him that money. I mean, they messed up a bit there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So Kimmich is 29. He's 29 years old.
29. Okay. Yeah. So a 4-year contract brings you to 33. But you know what? Cruz is 34 and still playing. So, whatever.
Exactly.
Right, so
exactly. Okay.
I'm thinking about this and I'm like, Vincent Kompany, you know what? You sly dog. I know why you took this job. And then Jamal Musiala is amazing. I don't know what the old coach was doing at Bayern Munich, but because what's crazy to me is when I see Musiala play and then I see Sané come in. And I see the golfing class because I think Sané is a great player. I think he's a really, really good player. And then I see Sané try to do the things that Musiala was doing. I'm like, man, they are not the same. Like there's a big golfing class between them.
Sané's off form, right?
Yeah, he's off form.
Because he's completely off form. But still, Musiala, Sané is picked. I think we've seen the best of Sané, right? You will agree.
We have. He's 28. So he's 28
Musiala,
years old. Yeah,
Musiala, you haven't seen the best of that guy. Anyway. We'll closely follow his talents, as the years go by.
Okay. Disappointment of the tournament. You want to go first? Who would you say?
Yeah. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay. Disappointment. Honestly, as much as I'll have to say France, and this is why they have every excuse to be like, hey, what's his face? Mbappe broke his nose, blah blah blah. But look at the time. I said they were the most talented, and I said it wasn't particularly close. So I think it would be easy to go England, but I didn't expect anything from England. I think England is terrible. But I thought France had the most talented crop of players, and like you said, if Kante wasn't on that team, they may already be going home. So for me, I think because I expected so much from them. I would have to say, France, it's time for Deschamps to just gracefully exit. And then let someone else come in and figure out how to use this amazing talent they have.
He should have exited a long time ago. You leave when your vision is loudest. So I really don't understand, what he's doing. He's an elderly statesman for French football right now. He should just go sit and enjoy himself. They'll give him corporate tickets for every game and all this kind of stuff, right? He should be walking the media houses, doing commentary, not doing this stuff. I think he has overstayed, kind of. But anyway, I agree with you on you picking France. So I actually have a long list of disappointments in this tournament.
Go for it.
I have a long list. So France is one of them, right? Because their offense hasn't just clicked this tournament. But that might also be a good thing. You don't want to peak early enough. You want to grow into the tournament. but they could have lost that Netherlands game and they would have been in serious trouble.
Yeah, that was a tough game. That was a tight, very tight game. Yeah.
Very, very tight game. Now they're playing Austria on Tuesday, and that's a tricky game for them. Very, very tricky game. So we'll see how that goes. So second on the list for me is Poland. So Lewandowski, Kiwior, Zelensky, you have decent players, right? You shouldn't be losing to Austria. Austria beat them. And it wasn't just beaten by luck. It was proper spanking by Austria. I expected more from Poland. I know the group is a tough one, but not for them to. I mean, they should be competing with Netherlands and France for the top spot, not competing with Austria, right? For the third spot, if you get what I mean. So not happy with Poland. Then, of course, England. My position on England is, I mean, it's documented. Yeah.
Well documented.
Now there are rumors. Now there are rumors coming from the camp that Trent will be benched in their game tomorrow, on Tuesday, and they're bringing in Conor Gallagher to play alongside Declan Rice in midfield. And I'm like, okay. Southgate loves playing with handbrakes. You know when Wenger would say we're playing with handbrakes on? That's exactly what's going on right now. You have too much offensive arsenal for you to be pissing around being defensive. I don't get it. And frankly, if you really want to play Trent, then play Trent at left back. If that's all you want to do, play my left back. Because Trippier, I think Trent might have the dexterity to play.
But is a right back playing at left back?
But that's my point. If you ask me who has more dexterity in playing that left back position, being a right-legged player, I'll go for Trent ahead of Trippier. But altogether, why didn't you bring what's his Crystal Palace left back?
I know who you're talking about.
Black boy, Michel. Why didn't you bring him? Why didn't you bring him? Right? But you decided to bring now Gallagher. I'm sorry, I like him. He's a hustler. He's industrious. That's not what you need in your midfield at this point, right? I mean, the whole world knows what Southgate needs to do, but he can't do it because he doesn't have the. I don't want to say confidence, but he doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't have the technical know-how to run an offensive football team. All he knows is, let me have a back four, have two holding midfielders, and you guys are in front. Just do whatever you want to do and score goals. The team is so poorly put together, so poorly constructed. It's a disaster. So, England, they're part of my disappointments of the tournament. Then I had one last on my list, but we talked about them, but they won their last game, which was Belgium. I expect more from Belgium. They shouldn't be struggling to qualify. Yeah. Okay. And although Lukaku's been very unlucky, he scored 3 goals that have been the goal against Slovakia. No, it wasn't Slovakia. Who did they play against? I can't remember. The last match they played, that goal for me. The offside, it's too harsh. That's a goal. Yeah. I think they should change the rules. That's a goal. I don't know why that wasn't given. But those are the guys that are a disappointment for me. It's Poland, it's England, it's France, and it's Belgium.
Okay, so quick one on England. In my opinion, so the guy you're looking for is Tyreek Mitchell.
Tyreek Mitchell.
The left back for Crystal Palace. He can go forward, is superior defensively to Trent, if not to Trippier, definitely to Trent. I think England has a problem on their left side, right? Because they started a midfielder as a left forward because he was the player of the year, blah, blah, blah. So you got to force him into the team. Foden. It is what it is. And they don't have Rashford to put all the blame on anymore. So, I'm really happy for Rashford, future Arsenal player, as I told you. It will happen.
No way.
It will happen.
No.
it will be next season's Kai Havertz. You'll see. But anyway, I think so when I think about them, I see, Yinka, this is the problem. You can't give what you don't have. In the corporate world, we talk about B players trying to do hiring, right? Or sorry, more like C players hiring B players or whatever it is, right? So when you don't have the goods, right? Decent looks like amazing to you because you don't know any better, right?
Yep.
But honestly, this Conor Gallagher thing is very simple for me. England, this is where you are. Conor Gallagher, on merit, should play. Because if he doesn't, what options do you have? Minor, who is 18. And if you're going to play Minor in game 3, why not game 1? Because if you played him in game 1, he would have 3 games of experience now. you know what I'm saying? So if you know, so if not Minor, then it's Gallagher. Gallagher may not, so Gallagher's ceiling is not very high. But his floor as a midfielder, as a professional, is extremely high. He doesn't have many bad games. He hardly ever has terrible games. He's a complete professional. The problem is, he's now at an age where we can look back and say, okay, he's not going to be world class. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes this is all you have. Sometimes all you have is a Kivia, and sometimes that's all you need. Okay. Sometimes that's all you need. The real problem they have, and I hate to agree with Gary Neville, is they don't have a real 6. For whatever reason, we thought Rice was the guy, but Rice spent the last 15 games of the season not really playing at the 6. So maybe someone needs to remind him that's what he used to be, and that's what England needs him to be, But then, it's not a Kimmich, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Right. So that's the problem I see with this England situation. But you're right. Southgate is the biggest problem. But
is a disaster. Yeah. You can play that team in an offensive formation, Aki.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Play Rice at the 6. The reason why Rice is having a poor, quote unquote, poor tournament is because of the people that are surrounding him. I don't see why we don't understand this. He's playing 2 positions at once because Trent, watch the games, Aki. Watch it. Trent keeps drifting to his natural position, which is the right. So at the end of the day, you're left with Rice alone in midfield trying to play 2 positions.
And Bellingham coming all the way back to get the ball.
And Bellingham coming all the way back. So it's confusing. So this goes back to coaching. When he's playing the 6 for us now, that is Rice, he knows what he needs to do. It is very clear. Everybody knows what they need to do. You have an Odegaard that is coming to collect the ball, that is taking the ball off you. Who's doing that in England? In the English national team? See, this is what they don't understand. Jude Bellingham is a better... people will kill me for this, but I'm going to say it. Jude Bellingham is a very, very, very better version, right, of Frank Lampard. I'm serious.
Oh yeah, come on. It's not even close. It's not even close. Understand?
But it's the same situation we had with Lampard. Lampard, he could score you plenty goals, but can he really control the game? Is he a midfielder in the proper sense of a midfielder? No. The same problem with Dele Alli. Is he a striker or a midfielder? That confusion, right? The only reason why it's not that obvious with Bellingham is because he's a better footballer than those guys. So he can mask that. But he's not really a proper midfielder. He's not the type that can make games tick, take the ball, control. If you ask him to do it, I'm sure he can do it to a very good level. But is that his key strength? No. His key strength is popping up to score goals, just like Lampard and Dele Alli did.
Yeah.
So you, as a coach, you need to understand your players and put them in the best position to succeed. Put them in the best position to succeed, which is what Southgate is not doing.
He doesn't have it in him. So Yinka, one of the topics in football that I have discussed the most in my life is Lampard versus Gerrard. Because I told you this. My brother is a diehard Chelsea fan who is completely partisan when it comes to this thing. He he thinks Lampard is the best player that ever lived, and Gerrard is not even on his level. But the reality is, Gerrard is roughly twice the player that Lampard ever was. And when I'm looking at midfielders, I don't care about the goals you score. I'm grateful for the goals you score, but it does nothing for me, and it's the same thing when I look at Modric, right? There was a time when Modric was scoring 3 goals a season. It was still fantastic. There was a time when Xavi Hernandez was scoring 1 every 10 games. I think I haven't checked this, but I think John Terry finished with more goals in his career than Xavi Hernandez did. But no one will look at both of them and say, give me Terry. That would be crazy. I think your guy, who was the big center back from Real Madrid that you put in your best 11 of all time, that
Sergio Ramos.
Yeah, Ramos scored more goals than Xavi Hernandez, probably more than Iniesta. But for me, I love when my midfielders score goals, but that's not your primary responsibility. Your primary responsibility is to give the opposing coach sleepless nights, and Xavi did that. Because when Xavi was in his prime, Xavi determined how his team played, and then also determined how your team played.
Absolutely.
And that's a real midfielder. Now, I love that we're having this conversation, because as much as I love Jude Bellingham, and he may win the Ballon d'Or, he may come second, as a midfielder, he's not there yet. And
he's not that he's not there yet. He is far from it.
Yeah. And
he is far from it.
Playing him in a false 9 is not going to help him develop. And the thing is, he has that in him. He has the midfield thing in him, because he has a massive, giant football brain, right? He's probably the most intelligent player on that team, the England team that he plays on. I think Foden is a very intelligent player as well. I think Saga is a very intelligent player as well. But I think Bellingham might be the most intelligent player on that team. But no one's taken the time to develop him, because they're so sucked into the Hollywood of it all. And that's what they really want. I'm sure you saw this. He did one thing. Well, I think it was in the back, that first game. And he stretched this. It did one of these, with it. And that was all they would show on TV. You know, because that's England. That's how they experience football. It's in moments, in Hollywood moments, and no one really thinks about the game.
They don't do that. But to buttress your point, he developed as a midfielder while he played for Dortmund.
Oh yeah.
That was where they played him as a central midfielder. He wasn't an attacking midfielder. He was playing central midfield proper. And that is where he really honed those skills. By the time he got to Madrid, because of what he met in Madrid, right?
Because of the
Madrid
injuries,
had to take him back to, okay, bros, we need you, we need goals. We need you to be that arriving in the box, which he's also very good at. Now, he needs to. And I like, a lot of coaches like versatility in players. And I also like it. But you should have a defined position that you play. You should have a clear option A, and because of your footballing skills, you can also manage with B.
Yeah.
If you don't have that clear identity as to where you play, by the time you've maxed out your potential, you will not achieve the highest level in terms of potential in either position.
Yeah.
You get stuck in between, which is my same problem with Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to look him in the eye and tell him you're a striker or you're a midfielder. If he continues to play both, this is what will happen. He will get to 27, 28, and he will not peak as a striker, and he will not peak as a midfielder. He will just be hanging there.
It's a lot of things. It's not a midfielder. We saw that. That was very obvious this past season. He's not a midfielder. A few months ago he was playing left back for Germany.
Yeah. Funny enough.
So yeah, point.
Oh my goodness!
All right, we have one more thing on the Euros, Yinka.
Yes, sir.
Who will win it all? I will go first. It will not be England. How about that? So So I'm saying this as someone who has now looked at the possible combinations. So these all 4 third place teams can make it to the next round thing throws a lot of things off for us. So there will be some matchups in the next round. That will be 2 second place teams. There will be 4 matchups that will be a first place versus a third place, right?
Yep.
And then there will be a typical first versus second in another group, right? So it's very confusing, right? So
very, very
so because I don't know, I think because I don't know how things will shake out, I would just say, who do I trust? And I think if I had to place a bet today, I think I would go Germany because of the home support and because they're just solid.
Mm-hmm.
They're solid 1 to 15, maybe at least 14. I think I would go with them. I don't trust France, and even if Mbappe came back with a mask or whatever, I don't trust Deschamps anymore. They still have the most talent, but I'm not seeing it. And Spain, who knows? They feel young to me, and Morata is Morata, so we'll see. So I'll go Germany. Who would you choose to win it all?
Okay, so just before I go ahead, the round of 16 games, the only game that we know who's playing right now is Switzerland, Italy.
Italy, yeah.
So Switzerland play Italy. That's the only one. But yeah, that third best thing, it confuses me also. We can't talk about that.
A lot of things.
It throws a lot of spanner into the works. But based on what I've seen so far, right, I agree with you with Germany. So I have three candidates. Yeah, Germany, Spain, and frankly Portugal.
Okay.
And Portugal, it's Cristiano Ronaldo has not had a fantastic tournament. So guys, he's had an average tournament, but I see something slightly different in him.
Yeah.
I think he's playing within the team this time around. And I kudos to him for that, frankly. The last game they played, he had a one-on-one with the goalkeeper that he laid off for.
You fell for that, didn't you? You fell for that. That's what it was going for, and you bought it.
Okay.
You fell for that.
No, just to tell people that I don't necessarily hate CR7. You get what I mean. But his general play, I think he's played towards the team as against, playing towards his name, CR7.
Yeah.
And Portugal, even though they won that game by a large margin, they have a very, very decent team.
Yeah.
In fact, more than decent, they have a very, very good team, right? Conceição, the coach's son, and Pedro Neto, those 2 boys, coming in when the team is tired, coming in 75th minute, 15 minutes to disturb, they can kill any team, right? So I like Portugal. And Pepe at 42 is playing better than some other defenders at 25.
Yeah, I think it's 41, but he's old. That's the bottom line.
He's old. He's old. He's playing very well. So I like the look of the Portuguese. Frankly, I do. Then obviously Germany and Spain, right? Spain. I'm very, very impressed with Spain. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
Rodri, that composure.
Yeah.
Pedri, they making the game tick. That midfield is too solid. Then you now have Lamine Yamal on one side. Then you have what's his name? Nico Williams on the other side. The only weak link for Spain is actually who's their captain? Is it Morata or Rodri?
Morata is the captain.
I think it's Morata is their captain as their weak link, right? But if you notice, Morata for Spain is different from Morata at club level.
Yeah.
To be fair to him, he kind of, I don't know, whenever he puts on that red and blue, maybe it turns into something else. So it's Germany, Spain, or Portugal for me. But as the games go by, we can whittle it down. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my next 2 also would be Spain. I don't like their goalkeeping situation as much, if I'm being honest. I know. I saw.
What about their goalkeeping situation?
I don't think there's a Neuer on their team. I mean, they're fine, they're solid, but I don't think there's like a Manuel Neuer. So I'm saying if I had to choose one,
Unai Simon is a good goalkeeper.
No. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not Neuer. That's what I'm saying. Is it a guy that will go
only
win
Germany
a game
has
for
a
you?
Neuer.
That's true. And Oblak's team. All black team is not good enough. But the one thing I would say about Portugal is, their number 2 goalkeeper, I'm just glad is no longer number 1. Let me just put it that way. What was his name again? Rui Patricio. I'm like, when I used to see him, I'm like, come on, man. There's got to be a guy in Portugal that is better than Rui Patricio. Like, what is
better than this guy?
So
God didn't bless them with goalkeepers.
Well, but
I'm telling you, I can't have it all, can you?
So quick one on Ronaldo before we move on. So yesterday, Monday, the 23rd, I think that was what's his face's birthday? What's his name? Messi? Let me check. I don't want to give that information.
Was it?
Yeah. I think, let me check. Messi birthday. Was he? Are we in June or May? Yeah, June 24th. June 24th. It was today, actually. Today is Messi's birthday.
It's today.
Yeah. So Messi turns 37 today.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And Ronaldo is about almost 2.5 years old. And these guys are still going. I mean, they're not what they used to be.
Eh?
Yeah, they're not what they used to be, but they still show up. They still lace them up, and I chuckled when I saw the Ronaldo pass to what's his name? Bruno Fernandes, right? And I'm like, I always said Ronaldo and Kobe are the same guy. It reminded me of when everyone was complaining that Kobe, you know where I'm going with this, that Kobe wasn't passing and was taking too many shots. So Kobe went a whole 4th quarter and didn't take a shot. So
I didn't take a shot. And the team lost woefully. And they're like, you see?
See? This is why I need to shoot. But anyway, no, but the reality is, Ronaldo had a really, really high probability of scoring from that angle. But Bruno Fernandes had a much higher one, much higher one. So he made the right football play. Yeah, it should be applauded for it. The fact that you're in your 39th year on earth and it took this long for people to applaud you for your playmaking, that's not on me. That's on you. But it is what it is. We're gonna move.
You're the CR7 person here. This CR7 hate should be reserved. It will be reserved for me, right? I chose to celebrate. How come I chose to celebrate him and you chose to beat him down? What's your problem?
Because I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I'm like, I am not buying this rah-rah. I'm a team player. I'm like, stop. Like, we know who you are.
I'm buying it until he does something different. So CR7, kudos to you. Double thumbs up.
All right, kudos. Anyway. All right, Copa America 2024. So I'm just going to set it up real quick. We talked about it briefly last week. For whatever reason, for reasons I don't understand, the Copa America, which is a CONMEBOL tournament, that's South America tournament, is being hosted in CONCACAF territory in the U.S. Obviously, the U.S. is hosting the next World Cup in 26. US, Canada, and Mexico. Frankly, it's really the US. The US just added Canada and Mexico because they needed support to win the hosting rights. And if you don't believe me, look at which of the countries are hosting which games. All right. But anyway, so it's really the US hosting. So this is a nice dry run for the US. Again, the US comes in with money. They throw money at CONMEBOL. They're like, hey, let's take it off your hands. We've had Colombia struggle to have facilities in the past. We've had Argentina struggle. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything. You guys just show up. And like we said last week, the crowd is not a problem because there are people from the Americas all over the U.S. It's always fun when they play in the U.S. Now, I think the first game was Argentina, Canada, and Canada played really, really well and could have lost 10 goals to nothing as well as they played. They lost 2-0, but it could have been 10. And I'm not exaggerating. It could easily have been 10. Yeah. But that's how good Argentina are right now.
So for me, the tournament, I don't know whether the hype is there because
it's not.
It's like nothing is going on. Do you understand?
It's the Euros.
You think it's the Euros, right? So why
it's
did
the
they
Euros.
then?
It's
why
not a week
why
behind
not wait
the Euros.
till the Euros? Why not wait till the Euros was over before you started yours or something?
Yankai sent an article about the next AFCON. FIFA has now come out with this expanded Club World Cup nonsense. And it's going to coincide and conflict with the dates for the AFCON. And clearly, FIFA doesn't care. So AFCON will have to move, which is insane if you think about it. So the problem we have now is
they kind of expanded the dates. So it's not going to start in December or so and end. Yeah, they're moving. They're moving more or less.
Yeah. So, but with Copa, the problem is a lot of players playing Europe, a lot of South American players playing Europe. So the more you extend this thing, it's going to push into training camp for these guys. They won't have a summer, and then they'll miss whatever money spinning tour their clubs have to do before the season starts. So I think that's why they had to do it during this time.
But still, for me, it's Argentina's title to lose. Uruguay, most likely the team to compete with them. I don't like the look of the Brazilian team at all. Really I think they're just a glorified European side, as that is the Brazilians. The US won their match yesterday. Our brother, Folarin Balogun, scored against Bolivia. I keep saying Bolivia, they're only a good football team when they are at home because of the high altitude. Once you take them out of that high altitude situation, they are the worst team in the whole of North and South America. They're bad. So I say that because I want you US guys to chill a bit. It's Bolivia, you beat 2-0.
Calm down. Calm down.
Yeah, so just
don't hate. Don't hate. You leave us alone. Leave us alone.
So there was actually
some controversy. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
There was some controversy when Weston McKennie, I think before the match, was complaining about the pitches. And he complained about the pitches. He said they're all NFL, so they're using NFL stadium, but they're also using some MLS stadiums, right? Some football specific stadium. Yeah. Football in this case, meaning, the global game football, not Soccer. The American football. Yeah. So he was complaining about that. He also complained about, using these big NFL stadiums and then the stadium not being full, because there's not enough interest. And he said it was frustrating to play at home where people don't care. It's not like in Europe. The Euros are going on right now and you wouldn't use this kind of pitch. And I thought about a Dusseldorf pitch, but I'm like, are you sure about that, Weston? I thought it was ill-advised. And I'm like, you're saying this, again, in a season where you've lost your way at Juve. Juve wants to get rid of you. You don't really know where you're going next. I don't think he has a club next. And you're a little out of shape. A friend of mine who doesn't really follow the game was like, is it me or does Weston McKennie look a little pudgy? I'm like, it's not you. It's true.
It's not you.
It's a little out of shape. Oh yeah. I'm like, it was filling in that jersey a little too much, And I'm just like, but I have a theory. And it starts with Landon Donovan and then Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, and then Gio Reyna. Right? And I think American kids who are uber talented, things come too easy for them domestically. Right? Because the best athletes in America don't play this game. They play other games, right? So when you're uber talented, when you're like, like those 4 guys who have real talent, things are too easy for them domestically. And then they move to Europe and you're not special, because for every you, there's another 15. You know what I'm saying? So, and the kids from Europe and other parts of the world, they are used to it. The Americans are not. And I feel like if you don't have the character to go with your talent, that's why they run into the issues they run into. Pulisic, the injuries, the lack of form, not being able to convince 4 or 5 coaches at Chelsea because they're always changing coaches. But now it's gone to AC Milan. He's a little older. His head is in the right place. They actually trust him, and he needs that, feeling of I'm being trusted. He's captain of the US again. You can see the way he's playing. Gio Reyna is still young. I mean, this guy came from Dortmund. Why you live in Dortmund where they give youth a chance? I don't get it. You go to Nottingham Forest, you can't get into a game, and they're trying to get out of relegation, and you can't get into a game. What does that say about you? Weston McKennie, everybody was saying you were the future, right? You're at Juve, you're playing week in, week out at Juve. The first time you have an injury and people doubt you, you can't come back, And then you go to, I think he went to Leeds, he couldn't get a game, So I see that. Same thing with Donovan. They bench him at Leverkusen, he runs them to mommy, So I see that a little too much in like the US stars. And then you see someone like Who was Donovan's contemporary? The name is actually my favorite player, and the name escapes me now. Deuce.
Which of them? The one at Fulham?
That was at Fulham. Yeah, Deuce was his nickname. What's his real name?
Now you mentioned his name. You mentioned, and I also now forgotten. That is on the shows with them.
I'm gonna search real quick.
Thierry Henry and
it's on the shows.
Clint Dempsey.
Yeah,
Clint Dempsey.
Clint Dempsey, thank you. Sorry, Clint Dempsey. So you look at Clint Dempsey, who came from really tough circumstances, like domestically. He didn't have those issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every time they benched him, he worked harder. You know, he was at Fulham for 4 years. He was benched every season, almost every season, and he was their leading scorer every season. When he finished his 4 years at Fulham, he was their all-time leading scorer. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Talking of Clint, is probably my greatest US player of all time.
I think he is. I think I like Claudio Reyna a lot. But it's between Reyna and Clint for me. Clint is my favorite. I think Reyna, I'm not sure who's the best, but Clint is my favorite. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Who's gonna win the Copa, Yinka?
It's Argentina now.
Okay. So I have Argentina 1. Unlike you, I think Brazil will be very, very hard to beat. I think Brazil can surprise people. I think Uruguay are really good. I think Nunes, that's his name? Nunes?
Yeah, Darwin.
Okay.
Darwin Nunes.
I think Darwin Nunes, I think this will be his coming out party. I really do. He has a new hairstyle.
It's got a good goal yesterday.
Yes, it did against Panama.
Panama.
So those are my 3. Chile looked like they're 50 years old. Like every single player is 50 years old. It was embarrassing.
They are 50 years old.
It was Chile versus Peru. Yinka, it was not good. It was not good. It was not good.
Yeah.
It was
a
everyone
bad game.
looked the shell
I slept off watching the game. That tells you how much I love football, and I'm watching the game and I sleep off. That's it. It tells you everything you need to know about that game.
All right.
Anyway.
Let's start our worthy mentions. So the first one we're going to talk about, since we've been gone, a new NBA champion has been crowned. Congratulations to the Boston Celtics. We've talked about them on and off. Yeah, it was awesome. Embarrassing from the Dallas Mavericks, but this is not about them. This is about the Celtics. They went out and got it. Jaylen Brown was the MVP. Honestly, we both thought it would be the MVP. It really could have been. It really could have. No, hold on. Let me finish. We thought that's who would win it. But we thought it could have been. Yeah, we thought that's who would win it. Yeah. You thought it should have been Drew Holiday. I didn't think it would be Drew Holiday. I know it could have been. I also thought it could have been
Jason.
It could have been.
What's the other guy?
It could have been. It could easily have been Tatum. Yeah, it easily could have been. But anyway, that's again, that's why they're more like Detroit from back in the day. Rashid Wallace, all those guys. They're an ensemble more than a Shaq and Kobe led team. They have many parts. Yeah. But anyway, what's your take on the NBA Finals?
So Dallas should just never come to the finals again for the next couple of years. If this is what you will do, it was a disaster. I love Mark Cuban as an owner. Yeah, he's probably my favorite owner in the NBA across board, and he's done well for Dallas. They've recruited well. It's been smart, but something needs to happen. They need an enforcer up front. Right, and probably they need somebody on the wings that can take the scoring load, that can take the ball out of Luka's hand. I thought that was why they brought in Kyrie, but Kyrie had an agenda coming into Dallas Mavericks. He needed to prove everybody wrong in terms of I can be a team player, or can I not be a team player? So he played too much to trying to satisfy people in terms of I'm a changed man. I can function within a system. And I didn't want to cause any rancor with Luka. And I think that led to, they had successes to some extent, but Luka held on to the ball too much in the games against the Celtics. Celtics are deserved winners, no doubt. Yeah. Talking about the MVP bit, right? They do this a lot, the NBA. They focus on. So is the MVP for the whole playoffs, or is it just for the finals?
Nope. And quick one, Yinka. So it's just for the finals, and not just that. A few years ago, maybe 3 or so years ago, they started crowning MVPs of the conference finals, which they never used to do before. right? So yeah. But it's always been the finals MVP. There's no playoff MVP, but now you have the conference finals MVP as well. Yeah.
So who was the conference finals MVP for Celtics?
Jaylen Brown as well. He won both. Jaylen Brown. So the conference final is I think is named after, I want to say, Bill Russell, and then the final one is named after Larry Bird. Maybe, I'm not sure. So yeah, something like that. Yeah.
No, I think it's the.
Or is it the other way around?
I think you might be right, but whatever. We can double check that and reconfirm next week. Yeah. But here's my point. That conference one is also just for the conference final only. It's not for the games before the conference final.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I have a problem with that, right? Because you do the whole season, the whole 81 games, you give somebody the MVP for the season, and you now start the playoffs, and you kind of just ignore round one, you ignore round two, and you're just going straight to conference finals and say you're the MVP of the conference finals, and now you're the MVP of the finals itself. Why can't I have MVP for the playoffs? Why am I breaking it down?
It's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. And you're right. I just checked.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just checked. The finals MVP is Russell. And then the conference finals, the Eastern is Larry Bird, Western is Magic Johnson.
Okay, cool. Because looking at the numbers across board, now I'm just looking at the playoffs in general.
Okay.
Yeah, Tatum had better numbers across board than Jaylen Brown. It's just that Jaylen Brown, when the chips were down, he answered the call at critical moments more than Jason. But I could say the same for Drew Holiday. I think the person that answered the call the most in the conference final and in the NBA finals, offensively and defensively, maybe it's because I'm passionate. I love Drew. I like him as a person.
I know.
His humility, everything, the struggles with his wife, what he did for his wife and stuff like that, what he's doing in the community and stuff like that. Okay, yes, I might be biased. Right, but that guy is the consummate professional. Love him.
I think all of this just proves that the Celtics are a collective. You know, they're not a solo. They're not a solo singer with a backing, orchestra or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we've seen this before. I mean, this is no insult to the Spurs, for example, the San Antonio Spurs, but even with the Spurs, like, Tim Duncan was in the MVP, in all their wins, all their 5 wins.
Yeah.
I think Tony Parker got one.
But it was the easiest person to give it to.
But they didn't give him everything. That's what I'm saying. That Kawhi got one and Tony Parker got one. Yeah.
Did Kawhi get when he was at Spurs?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. You're right. Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. He did.
And Tony Parker got one.
He did.
So Tim Duncan got the first 3. And then because they won 5.
You could argue that Manu Ginobili should have won all the 5.
Well, see, that's the thing. You could make a decent argument. Wow.
Absolutely.
You mean the 3, the last 3? Yeah, but not the 3. It wasn't there. For the first.
It wasn't there. Yeah, the last 3.
Yeah,
because Manu was, every time he came on off the bench, right? He will always swing the game in Spurs' favor. He will always swing the game in Spurs' favor. That guy is the craftiest left-handed bench player ever. And the funniest part, if you put him in as a starter, he will never clock those numbers. Never.
That's crazy.
It wouldn't. So he sits down, looks at the team. This is where I can hurt you guys, and he just gets in, comes in off the bench, kills.
Yeah.
He's for me, he's one of the greatest sixth men ever to play the game. Decent, very, very good player. So congratulations to the Celtics.
Yeah, that was awesome.
They've won their 19th or 20th now.
No, 18th.
I was going to check.
That was the 18th.
That was the 18th.
Yeah.
So now they've equaled or exceeded the Lakers.
The Lakers don't have up to 18. Let me see. I mean, we're doing a lot of fact checking. Lakers, number.
which is good. Just to let people know that this is organic. We're not.
Lakers have 17. Lakers have 17. Yeah. So
they were equal with the Lakers before.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lakers equaled them with the bubble win. Now they're ahead of. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take a mental note to remember that. And talking of the Lakers, good segue into what happened during the week.
Yeah.
After denial, several weeks of denial of them, talking to JJ Redick.
Yeah.
They even got distracted a bit for a while. They started chasing. Is it which university coach were they chasing? Hurley.
UConn.
Dan
UConn
Hurley. Coach.
Yeah, Dan Hurley. They didn't just chase him.
Hurley for
a
while.
They gave him an offer, and he rejected.
They gave him an offer, yeah, and he rejected the offer. I thought the Lakers were hoodwinked, kind of. I think what he wanted was that offer to be able to go to UConn and tell them, if you don't do right by me, you see what's going on, right? So I thought the Lakers were arsenaled, if you ask me.
So point counterpoint. Number one, last year he got an offer from Kentucky to go to Kentucky. What was embarrassing, if you're a Laker fan, as I know you are, is the offer the Lakers gave him this year was the same offer Kentucky College gave him last year, right? So that's why he didn't leave, right? Now, Dan Hurley is an East Coast guy. He's a East Coast guy, he and his wife. What he really wants is the Knicks job. So that's what he's waiting for.
I see.
That's what he really wants.
I see.
So I think when the Knicks come calling after Tom Thibodeau has broken too many ankles and torn too many ACLs and torn too many Hemis with the way he plays people to the ground.
And lost so many voice boxes.
Yeah, I think whenever we're done with him, Dan Hurley will be our next coach. And the Knicks have money. They won. I mean, the Lakers are the poorest ownership in the NBA. The Lakers franchise is the only real business they have. So they're the poorest ownership. Yeah.
The franchise is why they are rich.
Yeah, more or less. Exactly.
And it's not the same for every other person. Yeah,
exactly.
So going back to the JJ Redick, I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it. It would have made more sense for me if Bron wasn't on the roster and the roster had kids, right?
Yeah.
And you bring in a young coach so that they grow together, right? Now, what makes it even worse is the Lakers will now tell you that Bron is not their de facto GM.
Yeah.
When a few weeks, probably months now, before this acquisition, before this hire, your coach, you and your coach decided to start a podcast, just like me and Akin like this, that we're doing a podcast. So I'm LeBron James, Akin is JJ Redick, and we're breaking down X's and O's on whatever. And I'm like, what is going on here? So quick question before we go on.
Yeah.
Is that podcast going to continue after he's now been hired as the coach?
Oh my God.
So after every loss, they'll come into the studio. Oh God, this is ridiculous. So after every loss, they'll come into the studio and they'll sit down, they'll start breaking down LeBron. You see, you should have stepped up on the pick there. You should have followed, you should have switched there. Is that what they were doing on their podcast?
Yinka, you're terrible. But so here's what I would say, right? Yinka, you're pretending like you don't know that this is really about LeBron coaching the team. Look, I love LeBron. But okay, I want to be careful how I say this because there's a lot of people that will get mad at it. There's some strain of me narcissism in him. He has it, as you would say, in his locker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when it does humble and says humble stuff, a lot of it is humble brags. You know what I mean? That's kind of what he does, So he's coaching the team. Let's just stop pretending. So he put his guy there so he can be the de facto coach. That's really what is going on. That's it.
But here's the thing. So I've listened to JJ's podcast before starting the podcast with
something
LeBron.
Old man, something I can't remember. Yeah.
Exactly. I've seen clips of it, right?
Yeah.
He's always on First Take. So I kind of have an idea of the kind of personality that JJ is.
Yeah.
Right? Are you not sure Bron is not in for a shocker if the season starts and JJ says, old man, I'm benching you for the fourth quarter?
How do I say this, Yinka? If he wants to keep his job, he will fall in line, like they all have. No one's ever stood up.
But Bron is not going to do this forever. you keep firing coaches, hiring coaches, and it's not the coach's fault. No, it's never your fault. It's the fault of the coaches that you installed there yourself.
Yeah.
When is this nonsense going to stop?
When he retires. Yinka, this is
Rich Paul. Rich Paul came up, and Rich Paul is running his mouth about Bronny. Remember what I told you, right? That this Bronny playing the NBA, I don't think is the boys' idea, right? You agree with me now? It's not the boys' idea.
He said it himself. That I don't know. I just want a ball.
I just want a ball. So all this saying I'm not, it's not a two-way player. I'm only taking interviews with the Phoenix Suns and the LA Lakers. Who do you think you are? You're not the number one pick. There's a 7-1 unicorn again in France.
From France,
that's most likely going to be the number one pick.
It's amazing.
Exactly. Alexa, what's his name? You're here. You're 6'2". Because your father is Bron, you think you have the audacity or the right to be cherry picking? I think nobody should draft him. That's what I think. Because now it's beginning to tick me off. This is LA Lakers, not LeBron Lakers. Stop this nonsense. See, Akin, what will JJ Redick do that will be better than Davenham? I think you've answered the question. Why am I even asking you?
Yeah,
you will listen to Bron, right? Okay, I get it.
One quick technical thing, though. One quick technical thing, and this is not an original idea from me. I first heard Colin Cowherd talk about it. Is JJ Redick will be a first-time coach, coaching Davenham's team, right? Which is, he didn't put a lot of shooters. That wasn't really his thing. It was interior defense, then kick it out, and LeBron. So, and we don't know JJ Redick's philosophy. We know his philosophy as a player. We don't know his philosophy as a coach. We've seen him call games. So he's on broadcast here calling games, right? So we kind of know how he thinks about the game, right? We know how he thinks about the game. But I would say, he went to Duke. He played for Coach K. We can assume he's smart. I've never talked to him. We can assume he's smart. LeBron is extremely intelligent when it comes to the game. They've chopped it up. Maybe LeBron sees something in him. So, hey, this guy can match my level of basketball IQ and intelligence. Let's give it a chance. And, it's about relationships, bro. And LeBron did not have a relationship with the old coach and was never able to build one. And LeBron cannot blame himself when they don't do well. You have to blame somebody else.
Yeah. So I've not heard of his recruitment of his coaching crew, right? So I was just thinking, see, JJ is more of a Clipper than a Laker. Yeah. He's not even a Laker in any form.
He never played for the Lakers. You're right.
He never played. So it will be interesting to see what his coaching crew looks like.
So
the name that came to my mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
A name that came to my mind. I just thought if there's any young player, that just recently resigned or retired, that people thought or people look at and be like, that's a coach. That's a coach straight off the bat. Is Rajon Rondo.
So apparently he's gonna be one of the assistants. That's what they're saying. So I've not
heard that. I'm just saying this. I've not seen anything.
They've been floating his name. They've been floating his name. Yeah. That's LeBron's guy.
Rajon has. Yeah, but Rajon will call you out on your BS.
Yeah, and he played for the Lakers, right? They won.
And he played for the Lakers.
Yeah, they won the bubble championship together.
See, I should be a GM in the NBA. I know these things already. Come on.
So what I'm hearing,
what
I'm hearing, and this is reporting from Rick Bucher, right, on Fox. Yeah. So he had heard the Rando thing, and he said there was a coach. Older coach, accomplished, who is out of a job, that said, no, I won't take that role. And he agreed, Bucher agreed that, look, a lot of more established coaches would not take the role because why would they want to work for JJ Redick? But those who may have been forgotten in the carousel, they may see this as a chance to get back on it. Like Jason Kidd did. Jason Kidd did it under Frank Vogel, I think, and then got the Mavericks job. He had been a head coach twice before, right? He had been with the Nets and with the Bucks. And then he went and became an assistant.
Hold on, Aki.
What is it?
So this carousel that you're talking about, are you telling me Mark Jackson might be coming back?
Never. It would never coach again in the league. It's that whatever is said about gay people thing, it's too much.
We need to talk about Mark Jackson in future episodes.
We should. Yeah, we should. They will never get another job in the NBA. I know that now. Every time they float his name, they're just talking. It will never happen. They've decided they won't coach again. I mean, think about it. I mean, even Van Gundy, for some reason, maybe because Van Gundy has supported him, Van Gundy hasn't gotten a job either. But he did, he might go. I think he's going to be an assistant with the Clippers. Van Gundy is. But not Mark Jackson is never going to coach again. Maybe a college job. But it would not be a high-profile college job. It would have to be a very secure athletic director that can bring him in. Because and the thing is, there's a lot of uber religious people in this country. That's not a problem. Mark Jackson, uber religious. But the way they told the story, it wasn't just the uber religious thing. So I think some people think he went a little crazy. He was preaching on street corners and saying what they consider incendiary things about homosexual people and things like that. And he was in San Francisco, which is a lot of gay people. So that didn't go down too well. And the NBA pride themselves on being, accepting and supportive of, different people.
Yeah.
So I think, look, you never say never, but I can't see it, bro. I can't see it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So just to summarize, this JJ Redick hire, fingers crossed. But I am not. I'm not feeling it at all. I'm not.
And why I'm laughing, because this is your team, and you're incensed and so fired up about it, and I'm just having fun.
What are we doing? We're just even the Sparks. The roster is horrible. The Lakers. The roster is anyway.
Okay, Yinka. Very, very quick transition to the female version of the NBA, the WNBA. And I have a lot to say about this, but I would try to say it in very few words. The biggest thing that happened this past week was on Sunday. That would be our yesterday. The Chicago Sky played Indiana Fever. I believe this time he was in Chicago. And I didn't watch it. You didn't watch it, but I did watch like extended highlights. I watched about a 10-minute highlight, so I saw the key plays. And it was a back and forth, and then in the fourth quarter, the Fever went up by 15 in the fourth quarter, and then the Sky came back and won by just one.
Yeah.
And
88-87.
And both of our big rookie stars, Caitlin Clark, I think finished with 17 points and 13 assists, which is crazy, 13 assists. And then Angel Reese finished with like 25 points, I think. Yeah, I think 25.
20 something.
Yeah, 25 points.
It was 17 points and 23 rebounds.
No. She finished with 25 points. She had 25 points. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and she was Cheryl Swoops was at the game. Apparently she's had some kind of mentor relationship with her. So she, they had a long embrace after. And then I saw her. I saw Reese's interview. She was very gracious. She gave the team a lot of credit and all that. I sometimes I like the messiness. I think this Rookie of the Year thing, I think there may be something there, Yinka. So what do you think?
Aki, let me just say it now. For the sake of peace. For peace to reign in the land.
They better give it to Caitlin, right?
Just give it to Caitlin Clark. I beg you, in the name of everything you hold dear. Don't even think about. Hey.
Oh my gosh, you are terrible.
You and I know, right? That Angel Reese is also deserving. The numbers she's putting up, right? The fact that she's the 7th pick, the fact that a lot of people overlooked her and said, nah, your game is not going to translate. For it to be translating this early, right? And it's not really skill sets, Akin. It's just that, like she calls it, it's that dog in her.
Yeah, she said it. She's like, I'm a dog. She said it twice
exactly.
Yesterday during our interview.
Any rebound, I'm gonna get this ball before you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna box you out. I'm gonna do, So she's how do I put it? She's very, 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 very solid in doing that. And it's just pure effort, pure hustle. The skill sets will come later when she gets comfortable. So the sky is her ceiling. I get that and I like it and I love what's going on. But for the sake of peace.
Oh my God.
Right? Please let the sleeping dog lie. Just give the bone to the dog and let Kathleen Clark have it so that we can all have a peaceful, very, 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 oh God.
Okay.
The uproar that will follow if you give it to Reese you give it to, unfortunately, Cameron Brink, she had an injury. She torn her ACL.
That's terrible.
Unfortunately for her.
That's terrible.
She's been putting up decent numbers defensively, offensively. Even Rikia Jax. In fact, the whole rookie class have been doing very well. It's been
good.
Right?
It's been really good.
It's been good, and I love it. But please, just give it to Caitlin. Thank you.
Okay. Yinka, can I say something? All right, so first, let's clean up what we said earlier. So Clark finished the game with 17 points and 13 assists. The 13 assists was a single game record for the Fever. I mean, this girl is doing fantastic. Let's get that out of the way. She's doing fantastic. And when you watch the highlights, Yinka, there was one where she did she dribbled down the lane, she went down under the basket and threw a behind the back pass to Aaliyah Boston, who was trailing her. It was beautiful. It gave Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and a little bit of a Jason Kidd, Gary Payton. It was amazing. So 13 assists. That's hard to do. And then, but Angel had 25 points and 16 rebounds, Yinka. That's crazy. That
it's
is
crazy. But please give it to Clark.
I know. So please. Anyway,
whatever you say, as long as you conclude with Caitlin is the rookie of the year, I'm fine.
So here is my concern. And I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or whatever. It just makes me sad, right? So as you know, I live in the US. Unfortunately, everything in the US now is political, right? Yeah, this has nothing to do with Caitlin herself, right? But I'm at a point where I almost cannot read anything about Caitlin Clark, where I can't watch any takes on Caitlin Clark, because a lot of unintelligent people, and when I say unintelligent, I'm not talking of whether their brain is smart or not. I'm saying they do not know about this situation. They don't know about the game. Yeah. They don't know what they're talking about. Have takes. And then the right wing of this country has decided that because she's white, she's been discriminated against. Yinka, something happened. I know you didn't watch the game, but something happened yesterday. You know who Reese got into almost a fight with? It wasn't Caitlin Clark. It was a black woman that was Caitlin Clark's teammate. So Reese doesn't care whether you're white or black. She cares that you're in her way, and she needs to move you out of her way. That's what.
Just hold. With what you said now. Yeah. Yes, I didn't watch the game, but I saw this particular clip that you're talking about, where they were at the foul line. One of the Sky players was shooting a free throw. Yeah. And Reese was joined with the lady, I've forgotten her name.
Let me see and the ref
came in, and the ref came in and was almost going to give them a technical. Yeah. And the two of them were like telling the ref, calm down, what's your problem? We're just joined here. Well, it's all love. We're fine. Let us, So, in the previous game, she said something, Reese, that it seems some people have special whistles, right? When it comes to that. She was referring to herself, that the things that I do are kind of, amplified because it's me for whatever reason I don't know, right? And I'm sure she's just been humble. She knows why.
She does know why.
But that's the way she plays. Even when she was in college, that's who she is, right? She's feisty. She's tough. And, some people play better when they're on the edge. Just like they say, Kobe Bryant, don't get him angry. He plays better when he's angry. Those are the kind of people that you're like, for example, Michael Jordan. Yeah. Michael Jordan, once you disrespect him in any form, you look at him and be like, oh, really? That's what we're doing? You're in trouble. It's the same thing that I see in her. So it's not about Clark. It's about who is on the other side. Who am I competing with? Whether it's a 5'11" or 5'10" white girl, or a 5'10" black woman, or a 6'5" black girl, or she does not care.
Yeah.
She will play the same way.
So I looked it up.
Continue.
Nalisa Smith.
Yeah,
and they actually both ended up getting technicals in this game because of
they eventually did.
Yeah, both of them.
You see?
Because of all the join back and forth and all that, But it's competition. It is. But anyway, back to these people who don't really follow the game, who have decided that Caitlin Clark is the cause célèbre, for lack of a better way of putting it. I'm tired of it. It's making it very, very difficult for me to enjoy these games. It's making it difficult for me to enjoy following the games. There's no denying the impact that Clark has had, right? The numbers speak for themselves. I think something like the top 10 TV ratings in the WNBA this year have involved Caitlin Clark. And that's just how it is, 2-point-something million people watched the draft. The record before was 600,000 or something like that, So you can't deny it. I'm not trying to deny any of that. But to automatically assume for these right-wingers that because she's white, she believes what you believe, and she's been discriminated against. It's a little crazy to me because some of the most vocal people saying, I guess you might consider it unflattering things about her have been white people, like Diana Taurasi. She was like, she's not going to be special. At least not initially, she's not. And she said it about Angel Reese as well, So you can say it's a little bit of hating, that you want your elder statesman, so to speak, to be a little more conciliatory towards your new, but she doesn't have to,
She doesn't have to.
She's just like, this is not college.
She doesn't have to.
And she's been right. It's not college,
It's not.
But anyway, so that I just had to get that off my chest. It's, I would try to find my joy again, but it's been hard for me to just enjoy the games because of all this chatter. But it is what it is.
Because of all this chatter, it's becoming too much. It's too much noise in the background. Anyway, cool. Where are we going to next?
All right. So we have a very bizarre story in the world of football and FIFA. So you all might remember, those of you who have been with us from the beginning, we started this podcast during AFCON in January. And we talked about Emilio Nsue, who was the leading scorer at AFCON. If you don't remember, this was a guy who played in D3 somewhere and wasn't even a striker.
In Spain?
Wasn't even a striker. Yeah. I believe he was a right back. Yeah, it was a right back in Spain and D3. And then he comes to AFCON and he scores 4 goals for Equatorial Guinea. Yinka, something has happened. Please tell the people what has happened.
So this is one of the most ridiculous stories. When I saw this, I thought it was, what do you call it? I thought it was caricature.
Yeah, I thought it was satire.
I thought it was somebody playing.
Yeah.
I thought it was satire. I thought someone was playing. But actually, this really happened. So he played for Spanish under-20 team several years ago, right? So when he was going to transition to Equatorial Guinea, they actually made some inquiries from FIFA. And FIFA said he's not eligible to play for Equatorial Guinea several years ago. But one way or the other, This guy has had 11-year international level career for Equatorial Guinea. Only for FIFA to wake up after 11 years and say, sorry, we told you all this guy is not eligible to play for you. But he's been playing for them for 11 good years. 11 good years, Aki. Only for FIFA to say, sorry, now we're going to punish you for having played this guy for 11 years?
Tell us about the punishment.
So, what they said is in the ongoing World Cup qualifiers for Equatorial Guinea, they've played 2 matches where he played in. So they said those 2 games, they're giving the opponents 3 points and 3 goals. Equatorial Guinea won both goals. Guess who scored in both the games? 1-0 was the score. Guess who scored both goals?
Emilio Nsue.
Emilio Nsue. He scored both goals. So right now, there's they're giving the opponents 3 points, 3 goals. I just thought this is just stupid. Now they stripped Equatorial Guinea of those wins. I'm sure some things will follow in terms of fines and stuff, but Akin, this is just ridiculous. Oh. How could you have played for your national team for 11 years? And FIFA, when they made the inquiry, FIFA told them that you can't play for Equatorial Guinea. For whatever reason, okay, you've played under 20 at the national level for Spain and stuff. How did this happen?
So, one, I hope they get the same lawyers that Man City has. Because they need to fight this. So, Yinka, a lot of times when we've talked about the Man City case, you're like, hey, you're a lawyer. Tell us this. So, you're not asking me this time, but I will tell you.
Okay.
You know there is such a thing as a statute of limitations and all that, right? So, you can't keep punishing someone forever. At some point, people got to move on, right?
Yes.
So, we told you 11 years ago, you did it anyway. We knew for 11 years we didn't do anything. At some point, you cannot do anything. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You can't go back and punish. You know what I'm saying? So I think they need a good lawyer. Obviously, I don't have the case in front of me, but I think they need a good lawyer. They need to make a good argument. And for once, CAF has to stand up and defend one of their member states. All right. And be like, you cannot allow this to happen. And then smaller countries, I don't know if you saw this, but Suriname has been trying to put a team together. And guess where Suriname has been going to build their team? This will not surprise you. The Netherlands.
Where? Exactly.
The Netherlands, because they're like, hey, we don't have players, but we have a bunch of Surinamese, players.
Frank Rijkaard, Gullit, Edgar Davids. We can keep going.
Clarence Seedorf. And we have a bunch of them that will never play for the Netherlands. So let them come play for Suriname.
Yeah.
Let's build our own thing, right? So this can happen to countries like that as well, right? So I think CAF, every individual African countries like Suriname need to back them. They need, someone needs to do something. And they need to get good lawyers and fight this. This is crazy.
It's just stupid. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on. Where are we going to next?
Transfer rumors. There's a ton going on. Is there any that you care about that you want to talk about?
Yes, there's a couple.
Okay.
So we had an episode where we talked about Piane's rules. Yeah. I'm sure our listeners will remember where we said when you buy a player, you can amortize over the period of the contract. And when you sell a player, the whole revenue goes into that year. Okay? Mm-hmm. Well, and we also said in subsequent episodes that some clubs have to sell players to be able to fall in line with the Piane's rules. Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. That's the summary. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, we see some very, very dodgy transfers happening.
Okay.
All of a sudden, Chelsea is buying youngsters from Villa. Villa is buying youngsters from Chelsea. At surprisingly, the amounts are kind of really, £25 million for a 17-year-old.
Give us examples. Give us examples.
No, as I don't have details here, but let me give you a good one.
Okay.
There's a Omari Kellyman.
Okay.
Chelsea agreed a £20 million deal to sign Omari Kellyman from Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, who is Omari Kellyman?
Never heard of him.
That you're paying £20 million for.
The only Omari we know is the Omari that went from Arsenal to Chelsea. And it's not worth 20
Hutchinson.
million. Yeah,
this is not
worth
Hutchinson.
20 million.
It's not Hutchinson. And conversely, Aston Villa is buying Ian Maatsen from Chelsea for around 35 million. This is the left back that they loaned to Dortmund.
But that's actually
Dortmund
good. That's actually a good player. He's worth 35 million pounds.
Okay, if you say so.
It's worth
if you say so.
Pounds. Yeah. It's justifiable.
But so who's Chelsea's starting left back right now? Cucurella, right?
Who? They have Cucurella, and they have the former guy who was captain for a little bit.
Chilwell, who was always injured.
He was always injured, yeah.
So you would think Maatsen should be able to fit in.
Yeah, because I would think about it this way. Urian Timber came in at about that amount, 35 million, right? He just turned 22. He just turned 23, actually. So it was 22 when.
Well, Urian Timber is an established Dutch.
No, that's fair.
Maatsen is still bubbling.
But
you get my
That's
point.
fair. But he's played in the Champions League final. You know, he had a good season. You know,
all the works. Yeah, I get that. But what people are saying now is that these transfers. So if you flip to the Villa side, Villa have the Spanish left back, I've forgotten his name, and the French left back, Digne and Moreno. Moreno is the Spanish left back that they have, right? So a lot of people are looking at this deal sideways to say, how convenient, right? That I'm buying a player and you're selling to me. So net, so you get to book the revenue in the current period. You meet your P&L's rules, right? And Chelsea also do the same. They meet their P&L's rules. But news came out this evening that the EPL is looking at some of these transactions. Nobody mentioned the transaction. They just said the EPL are looking at some of these transactions, that there seems to be a loophole in the P&L's rules. And I'm like, of course there's a loophole. Of course there's a loophole. What are you not talking about? And see, Akin, I don't have any problem with this at all.
Okay.
I don't. Frankly, I don't. It's you can't bring in an independent party to be doing fair value for these transactions. No, you can't. Because this in itself is fair value. The fact that Villa is willing to pay £19 million, or rather Chelsea is willing to pay £19 million for Kellyman, that means that is Kellyman's fair value.
That's terrible.
Do you understand? Yeah. Because you're not related. But now, EPA is not trying to say, we know what you guys are trying to do. We sense what's going on here. I think you're going too far. They will still get caught up in the future. If you don't buy responsibly, irrespective of how much you sell, it's still going to catch up with you, right? At a particular point in time. Yeah. I just saw this and I thought, this is odd. Even the Juventus deal that is sending McKinney to Villa and Douglas, I said Douglas, not what's his name? The Luis guy, the Brazilian.
Douglas Luis, yes.
It's not Douglas.
It's Douglas Luis.
It's Douglas Luis.
Yeah, it's Douglas.
Sounds like Douglas Luis to. They are not. It's not a swap. They're not doing a swap.
They're doing individual.
Villa is selling individual deals.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Individual deals.
It's okay to do that.
But that's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
That's okay to do that.
I don't have a problem with that. All I'm saying is, the EPL, you need to know when you've lost some battles and you need to know when you've won some.
Yeah.
This is not a battle you should fight. There's nothing wrong in what these clubs are doing. Right?
It's accounting.
This is a loophole.
Right? It's accounting. Yeah, it's
accounting.
Yeah. So
just like Ineos chairman said, the Ineos chairman that just took over, he said that the clubs now have more accountants than coaches. You will think we're running an accounting firm as against a football club.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
But it is what it is.
I was just going to say the same thing. It's the same thing here. Whenever you hear that an American corporation paid zero in taxes, go look at how many, not just tax accountants they have, but also tax lawyers. When I was coming out of law school, one of the major oil companies, I won't say their name, had 300 tax lawyers in Reston, Virginia. by DC
Wow.
right here. 300 tax lawyers. And that was 20. I'm totally dating myself. That was 19 years ago. They're probably 1,000 today. 19 years ago, It was 300 tax lawyers, just tax. So this is, we've talked about it before. Football clubs are not massive businesses. They're like nice, mid-size global businesses. They're not, they're not ExxonMobil. They're not Apple. They're more like a nice tech company that made some money in Silicon Valley, whatever. So it makes sense that they would do this. It makes a lot of sense.
I find it very interesting. And it will get to a point that you start selling players that you don't really want to sell because you've bought players that you didn't really need to buy.
But this happens in other sports. So I was reading man, I don't have all the details, but remember Keith Van Horn? Remember Keith Van Horn of the Nets back in the day?
Yeah.
He was the number 2 overall pick a long time ago. I think he ended up his career playing for the Dallas Mavericks, right? But then your guy, Mark Cuban, discovered that he didn't actually retire. Like he didn't file the paperwork to retire, right? So he called Van Horn, signed him to a deal because he hadn't retired, So this was 2-3 years after he had already retired. Signed him to a deal and traded him to create some kind of trade exception or whatever it was, and that's how they were able to, I forget who it was that they were able to sign. But so it happens all the time.
I like Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is a very, very smart guy.
All right.
Anyway, so clubs are still going to have to sell. Forest has to sell.
Yeah.
Newcastle have to sell. Who else? Everton have already. I can see some transactions going on with Everton already. But you see that there's not much activity in the transfer market. It's because
of
everybody's
the Euros and the Copa. There's Euros and the Copa.
And Copa, but we'll see how it goes. All
right.
Okay?
I think I'll do your donkey of the week, and then we can go.
And we wrap this up, right?
Yeah.
Good. So, I mean, it's becoming much more obvious these days who my donkey of the week will be after each episode that we have. By the time we're talking about them and I tell you that they're stupid or they've done something ridiculous or they are idiots, you have an idea what's going to go on.
Yeah.
So the donkey of the week, we have 3 nominees this week. So it's FIFA 1, it's the Equatorial Guinea FA 2, and it's Emilio Nsue himself 3.
Oh my gosh!
This is I don't understand this. He played almost 30 games for Spanish under 17 and under 21 teams a long time ago.
Yeah, but if he wasn't capped, at a senior level, it shouldn't matter, right? It shouldn't.
Akin, you don't get it.
Yeah,
you don't get it. They asked FIFA. It's not as if they didn't ask FIFA. The Equatorial Guinean FA asked FIFA to say, can he play for us?
And they said, no, he can't.
FIFA said, no, he cannot play for you. And they said, well, okay. It's like maybe they don't understand English, or maybe the response was in French. I don't know.
Well,
and they're like, okay, keep playing.
Exactly. But the language of French is the language of FIFA, right? So maybe that's what the problem is. And Equatorial Guinea is what? Portuguese? I don't know. I don't
even know. I think it's Portuguese.
Yeah.
I think it's Portuguese.
Now
the guy has played 11 years. Then all of a sudden somebody wakes up in FIFA and goes, hold on, this guy, I thought we said he couldn't play for them. I don't know what else to say. That is the height of ridiculousness, right? And then FIFA then wakes up and says, now we're going to ban you. And we only take 2 games, the last 2 games that you play for your national team. What happened to all the games you played over 11 years?
Including tournament games.
All the games? Including tournament games. Imagine, he almost knocked Cote d'Ivoire out of the Nations Cup single-handedly because he was in their group. So if some African nations are really, really petty, they can sue FIFA and say, we've been playing against an illegal team. Oh, he denied us the right to go to so tournaments. Okay, so you owe me, where's my money and stuff like that. it's just ridiculous. But the winner of the Donkey of the Week, obviously, is FIFA. I think this is FIFA's mess up. There's no way this should be happening. But we all know what FIFA is about, right? Equatorial Guinea is what we accountants call immaterial. Yeah. In terms of, so they're like, who are these minors that are disturbing us here? And you could have just left it. You could have just let it slide. You could have let it slide, instead of punishing the Equatorial Guinea FA unnecessarily. So FIFA, you're my Donkey of the Week. Don't do that again.
All right. So I think we'll hear more about this story. My guess will be FIFA didn't just wake up one day. My guess will be someone in Africa, someone in Equatorial Guinea's group brought it up to FIFA. That's what happened. Because think about who benefits the most by this guy not being able to play. It's not FIFA, So I think that's what happened. But anywho, Inka, anything else you want to talk about?
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Nothing. I think we've had a good. The hours just fly by. I'm looking at our timer here, and we're almost on 2 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we can actually continue talking, but we need to keep it within that time limit. Well, we need to keep it within that.
Some of our friends would be upset again if we go too long.
If we go too long. So, a couple of things you need to look out for. We'll set up an avenue for you to ask us questions where we'll answer. So we'll have a new segment from next week where we'll answer your questions. And we talked about a giveaway. We haven't forgotten. Work got too much for both of us. We still have that on our radar, and we will address that. We will deal with that. So please bear with us. And that's our session for the week. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for letting your friends know about us. Please continue to do that. And let's see how far or how big we can grow this platform. Aki, final words?
Yeah. So just one final word for me. I think I said it last week. We have over 1,000 followers on Instagram and only about a fifth of that on YouTube. Please, if you follow us on Instagram, also subscribe to us on YouTube and tell your friends, share our videos, comment, like, and send us your questions for next week. And we will see you next time. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notifications button so you don't miss any of our content.
And please don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms.